When I started this channel, Halo Infinite was one of the games I said I would play. And now, over 2 years later, it's finally here. To be honest, I'm worried. Halo holds a special place in my heart. It was the first FPS I ever played properly, and I made so many memories playing the original campaign. Halo CE, Halo 2, Halo 3, and Reach were games that I remember fondly to this day, and still go back and play from time to time. However, what happened after those games is a completely different story. Halo 4, whilst enjoyable, was simply different. It no longer felt like a true Halo game, and that's without getting into the whole Cortana mess. I pre-ordered Halo 5 a year before it released, and I was devastated to find out that it had no split screen. Then, when I actually played the game, I was utterly disappointed. Why were the elites so stupid and heavy-footed? Why was Chief being hunted down? Why was Cortana still a plot point? Why did 343 introduce an entirely new, generic character and try to make us care about him? Why was sprinting, clambering, thrusting, stabilizing, and all these complex movement techniques still in the game? Why was Halo not Halo? I never finished the Halo 5 campaign, I just couldn't bring myself to do it, but Infinite? Well, when Infinite was announced, I'll admit I felt a small spark of hope light up. Which brings me to the present. Earlier this week, the Halo Infinite demo and gameplay trailer were released at the annual E3 conference. Now, without getting into the lag and connection issues during the live screening itself, I want to share my personal thoughts on Halo and what we've seen. Now, I'll admit, whilst it may not seem like it, I am extremely excited for the game. Sure, it may look choppy and the graphics may not exactly be next-gen level, but I have no issue with the way the game looks. Graphics have never been of major importance to me, and as long as the game runs smoothly, I'm fine, and it seems like Halo Infinite does just that. But now let's get into the gameplay mechanics, and this is where I start having a problem. Why, 343? Why did you have to put goddamn sprinting into this game? The movement in this game has to be the most generic movement system ever. Sprint, slide, and clamber. That's the same as any other game on the market right now. I just don't understand how hard it is for 343 to create a Halo game without these features, especially when the community has been hating on them ever since they were introduced. Just please listen to the fan base, and no, not the new fan base, not the people that are only playing because it looks like COD or Apex. Listen to the hardcore fan base, the people that have been playing since launch, the people that have kept Halo alive all these years. Listen to the people that are here to stay, not the people that are here to leave in a few weeks. People loved Halo because it was different. I loved Halo because it was different. It was simple, but its core functions were perfect. It may seem ridiculous to new fans that someone like me can argue with such a passion about such a simple feature, such as sprinting, which has become the norm for any game on the market. But it is exactly because it has become the norm that Halo shouldn't adopt it. Halo went from creating its own path to following the paths that other games have already created, and unfortunately, it seems that this trend will not be changing in Infinite. Instead, Infinite will be jumping on another trend. It seems like Halo is trying to adopt an open world style, which has definitely been the most favourable style in modern years. Just look at Red Dead Redemption, or GTA, or even Destiny. I don't have a problem with open world. I think that if it's done correctly, then it could be the best thing to ever happen to Halo. But I really don't want Halo to follow in the same footsteps as Destiny. If you look at the level design in the demo, it seems way too similar to a Destiny-style level design. Attack an outpost, click a button, hold off waves of enemies, and repeat until you reach a boss fight. Now, whilst this style of mission is okay, the fact that they used it for the demo is worrying. In marketing, you generally want to show off the game and make it shine. Therefore, you'd want to show off the most interesting mission, with the coolest guns and greatest atmosphere so that you can get people hooked and that people will buy the game. So why on earth is the demo showing us such a boring and linear level design? Is this really the best Infinite has to offer? And if it isn't, then why isn't the better level being shown in the demo? Now, I understand that the demo was made a few years ago, and that likely a lot of the levels hadn't been developed back then. And I also understand that they are probably hiding the cooler levels so that they can be explored in-game, but honestly, this just makes me nervous. I really hope that Halo doesn't follow in Destiny's footsteps, but I guess only time will tell. Moving onwards, I quickly want to touch on the grappling hook. Now, I'll admit, alright, I'm a sucker for grappling hooks. I love them to pieces. Heck, it's the reason I mained Pathfinder and Apex Legends, and it's also the reason I played Titanfall 2 for as long as I did. But in Halo, I'm sorry, but it just makes no sense. People tend to forget that Master Chief weighs 2 tons, that's 2,000 kilos. How on earth is he just flying through the air like a feather? It makes zero sense.
For a brick, he flew pretty good.
I can understand a Chief using the grappling hook to bring enemies towards him or to pick up items such as fusion coils, but to soar through the air like Batman is a tad much. However, again, I will be extremely biased with this issue, and the grapple hook does look like a lot of fun, so I'll let it pass for now. We'll just have to wait and see how it functions in the game long term. As for the enemies themselves, I am pleasantly surprised. I'm really glad they reverted back to the old Elite design, and the fact that brutes can throw suicide grunts is a mechanic that I find hilarious. Plus, I would be lying if I said that the speech at the end didn't send shivers down my spine. Whilst I would have preferred Atriox as the final villain, I think it's probably for the best to leave him in Halo Wars, as otherwise it could create a lot of confusion for newer players, and remember, Halo Infinite is supposed to be a spiritual reboot, so it is definitely catering to a newer fanbase. Which leads me into why I'm actually worried for the game. It's trying to reach a middle ground between old and new Halo. It's trying to make Halo modern and new, whilst keeping it classic and nostalgic, and to be honest, I don't think this middle ground exists, which is exactly why I and so many other classic Halo fans are worried. If 343 manages to pull this off and create a game that appeases both communities, then it'll be incredible. But the far likelier option is that no community will be pleased, and the game will simply fail. I know I sound extremely pessimistic, and there will definitely be some people that think I just hate the game and don't want to see it succeed, which couldn't be further from the truth. I love Halo, and I want to see it succeed, but I would much prefer them stop the franchise on a high than continue it and destroy it beyond repair. I will buy Halo Infinite, I will sink hours into the game, and I will play the entire campaign and likely enjoy myself a lot, but for now, I'm worried. And that feeling will be very hard to change until I boot up the game and click A.